Reconfiguring the Hyskore 6-gun or 3-gun handgun rack is a fairly easy process. What you need to do this is some threaded rod. It can either be 3/16 inch or number 10. Need some washers, and you need nuts. With those supplies in hand, you can configure the rack almost any way you want. The first step is to remove the retainer clips. And the best way to do this is to take a pair of diagonal pliers and just snip it off. You're going to have to do all three of them. And unfortunately, you're not going to be able to save the rod, which is the reason you have to buy the 3/16 or number 10 rods. Okay. Now that the clips have been taken off the one end of the rod, just simply take a pair of pliers and remove the 3 rods. This is going to leave you with all of the various sections of the rack. The rack has petition sections, spacer sections, and then sections that actually fit underneath the gun and support the barrel. All of these sections of a type are the same. In other words, the petition sections and end sections are exactly the same. The spacer sections are exactly the same as each other. And the gun support sections are exactly the same as each other. And what that means is you can take these and reconfigure them in any order you want so that you can accommodate your guns perfectly. Now, if you have a revolver, it needs a little bit more room for the cylinder. If you have a single stack magazine, automatic, semi-automatic, takes a little bit less room. Double stack takes a little bit more. So you can see where we're going with this. You can set this up so it's going to fit your assortment of guns absolutely perfectly. And you can take 2 or 3 or 4 racks and string them all together so that they're going to fit that shelf on your space just perfectly, and you'll have efficient and maximum utilization of that space. Suggestion is to set up the segments the way you want and then stack them so that you have them organized and you have all your spaces set up according to your preference. Then take a tape measure, measure it, and in this case we're at 10 inches, 10.5 inches. We're going to want to cut our rods to a ½ inch longer than that to give us just enough room to get the nuts and washers on to retain all this. Once you have your stack set like this, you can put the threaded rod next to it to get a reference on how long you want to cut that rod. And we're going here at 5/8 of an inch longer roughly than the height of the stack. And you note here that we have 2 nuts on here. There's a reason for having 2 nuts. When we cut this rod, either with a hacksaw or a bolt cutter, what's going to happen is the threaded end of the rod is going to be a little bit deformed. And if we don't have the nuts over here so we can run the nuts back over that to chase the thread and reestablish it, you're going to have one heck of a time trying to get the nut to screw in the end. Now just unscrew the nut and it'll chase that thread back. Now you may have to hold back on this with a pair of pliers, but since it's going to be in the middle of the rack, it's not going to make any difference. And now the nut will go on and off nice and easy. Okay, next step, put a washer on the end, thread your 1 nut on a few turns, and now you're going to thread this through the sections of the rack. Okay. Now you have 1 rod in place. Thread your next rod in place. With the 2 rods in place, it should be easy to insert the final one, as all the holes should line up just about perfectly. All the rods are in place, washers and nuts are on, and you have a reconfigured pistol rack.